welcome to our Brothers in Conversation podcast powered by Jesse and Shondell. Shondell, you are from?
Bed-Stuy, Do-or-Die, Brooklyn. That little town.
That's a little town. That's nothing like Hawthorne, Nevada. Population 5,000 cats and dogs. Welcome to our Conversations podcast powered by Jesse Farrell and
Shondell Newsom.
He's bringing it, and we're going to have a magical program today. This is June 6th, 2019, episode 5.
Right on.
And our program today is, I really love this. I know we're going to run out of time on this one.
Yeah.
It's called the 3 key reasons why values matter.
Yeah.
The 3 key reasons why values matter. Mm-hmm. And so before we get into that, I want to continue on the conversation that you were talking about when you were saying that these conversations that we have now, they turned them into a podcast. Mm-hmm. Lisa was the first one to discover the power of these conversations. You and I didn't even discover that. We just went with it. We were just going into the flow.
Just having conversations, yeah.
And do you remember what Lisa said? Not word for word, but do you remember what Lisa said about how her listening to the conversations between the two of us, how it left her feeling?
Well, it left her feeling inspired.
Yes.
And very much like, wow. She just had this wow factor.
Right.
She is very emotional about it, right?
Right, very much.
She said, you guys bring me to tears, and then you bring me to laughter, and then you bring me to all these different emotions, but at the end of the day, I'm inspired.
Yeah, and I believe the world could use more of that.
Yes,
I believe the world could use more of this inspiring concept, because even one catalyst, one story or one phrase or one quote.
Yes, and
they hear that in the context of this. Yeah, they could go out and change many things.
Tell them what you said. The quote that I posted, that was a good one.
Well, that came from conversation. That came from I'll tell them what I said, but that came from the conversation of you sharing about your father and some of the concepts of your father, some foundational platforms that your father laid down. Yeah, just sharing. Yeah, and I said, well, that reminds me of a piece that I've used time and time again. And it says, where you come from is a point of reference, not where you come from is a point of reference, not a residence. Right. Meaning, there are a lot of people that, depending on how they've grown up, can be stuck. Yeah. In all that was going on with how they grew up. Yeah. Yeah. And it could be cultural, it could be racial, it could be geographical, it could be a lot of these conditions. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize they are allowing themselves to remain stuck. Yeah. Where you come from is a point of reference. Right. Not a residence. You don't have to live there.
You don't have to live there.
You don't have to stay there.
Right. And then my father always said that. He said, poverty is not an excuse for you to be ignorant. Poverty is not an excuse for you to stay away from different things, explore different things. You have to take yourself out of the mindset of poverty, and you have to take yourself to a whole different level. And what I was posting about is that, June 10th will be the 10-year anniversary, if you will, of when my father passed away. And then, when somebody passes away, you get all of these nuggets. Going back to values, you start to feel what they were telling you all along.
And do you feel them in a different way, or more in depth, or a renewed sense?
It's in depth and a renewed sense, right? Okay. It's like, these are things that you probably have done unconditionally or without thinking about them. You've been doing them as habits, but then it's reinforced because my father was like this person and grew up with holes in his shoes and in the projects in Brooklyn, New York. And he said, hey, you know what? I am, like you said, I'm not going to live here. Right. I'm not staying here. Right. And he's going to take us to the next generation, and we're going to see something totally different. Back then, they called it middle class. Sure. So we weren't quite the Cosbys in Brooklyn.
Sure.
We were, my father was in the post office. My mom was a school teacher. It was 7 of us. But we lived in a brownstone, which is better than some of the other kids that lived in the projects. So that was my father's leap, if you will, from where he was to where he wanted us to go.
Well, let me relate to your father on that. Since we're talking about classes, I would say that we were probably considered lower middle class at that time, and this is just my thoughts of it. When I think about your father growing up in the projects, and the reason why I put the classification of likely lower middle class on ours is because I too, my first 5 years, I grew up in the projects in Reno, Nevada. Yeah. And so I know that growing up in Hawthorne was an upgrade from growing up in the projects in Reno. So we obviously had to step up a class. You just want to say something you want to
Alan Ludwig is saying, I'm watching you guys and do a thing on Hawthorne, Nevada about all of us, how we all grew up. And it says, LOL, brother. So laugh out loud.
So let me tell you about Alan Ludwig. Because Alan Ludwig's family comes into my story here.
Okay.
So we grew up in Reno the first 5 years. And my family, they wanted to upgrade our lives. So my father, he was a firefighter, a civil servant at the base in Hawthorne, Nevada. My mother worked in ammunitions.
Okay.
And Alan Ludwig, who's in Wyoming, his mother and father were teachers in Hawthorne.
Okay. Wow.
His father also was a coach, athletic coach.
Wow.
And the mother was
I didn't know that, Alan. You never said anything about that. What's up with that?
So Alan piping in, he's getting vibrations in Wyoming. Because what you just did with your father, the feelings, I said when I was asking about those feelings, Alan's going through the same thing in Wyoming that you're going through right here.
That is so cool.
Because he's hearing that. Now, his mother allowed me, you know how kids are. We don't know boundaries when we're kids. We have to learn that.
Yeah.
His mother, Donna Ludwig, I had two incredible teachers. I had many good teachers, but two incredible teachers. Donna Ludwig, which is Alan Ludwig's mother, and Sandy Essenprice. Sandy Essenprice was my fourth grade teacher. Donna Ludwig was my junior high school art teacher. Okay. But when I got in high school, I did this thing called FTA, Future Teachers of America. Okay. And that allowed me to have the right to go down to junior high school, and I taught her junior high school art class for a month. Wow. Every year. Okay. So Alan's mother would allow me to walk through the desert. Show up at their doorstep, knock on, have my easel and my everything, and I would show her what I was working on, and she would critique it. Right. And I would do that about 4 or 5 days a week. And Alan was always sitting on the back porch. Wow. And when I left, Alan was almost a loner. He did a lot of things by himself. So I would always want to show Alan some love. So I'd have a conversation with this guy, and he would always tell jokes and this and that. So that's why Alan, to this day, is still in touch, because he remembers those days like you're remembering your father.
That's right. Wow. And, and that's what's great about this podcast, right? Because a lot of people now get to connect on a whole different level.
Oh.
And get to see
Alan Ludwig. Now, if Alan's connecting, I guarantee you he's going to get in touch with his sister, Shauna. Who's in another part of the country. I know she just moved, so I'm not sure where she moved to. Right. And his sister, he's got two other sisters. I'm not sure where Destiny is. I think she might be in Reno. I'm not sure. Yeah. But, and then he's got a sister named Lisa Ludwig, who's in Fallon and works in Reno. Okay. I guarantee you he will be making them listen to this podcast, because he hears me talking about Hawthorne.
All right, that's all good, man. I love it. Pamela's on there, too. Is that relative of yours?
Yeah, Pamela will be... Of the 8 children, Pam is roughly 2 years younger than myself. We grew up together. Oh, cool. So Pamela is she's also part of History and Foundation. When you talk a little bit more about some of the concepts that your father left you with, and then I'll share the Pam part.
The great thing that my father left me with was sense of purpose.
Wow.
Right? So that was pretty cool, to serve others.
Wow.
He served in the United States Air Force as a Vietnam vet. I served in Operation Desert Storm. And my daughter served in Enduring Freedom.
Wow.
So
lineage.
Air Force lineage, right? So he taught us that tradition, but he also taught us how to be accountable. As a young black male, he said, you still have to be accountable. Listen, no matter what happens in your life, you have to be accountable for the things that you do.
You know, so interesting you say that. Pam's watching this. Pamela, but we call her Pam. Pam's listening and or watching, not sure. Those are the things I wanted to leave her with. Is that accountability, that personal responsibility, that if it is to be, then it's up to me. Yeah. I want her to say that to herself. Yeah. Not to wait for the rest of the world. She's a lighter, easygoing kind of personality and character. But I wanted to let her know those are wonderful attributes to have. Yeah. But the accountability part is going to set the quality of your life.
And you know what's funny about accountability? Even though my father kept saying that, you know when it really, really hit me?
When did it hit you?
Is when my grandmother, who had a 6th grade education, she grew up in South Carolina, and they had to work in the fields and all that kind of stuff. So she said she never really got to finish school or even had the opportunity, but she hit me with the words of wisdom that live with me today, right? I was complaining about being a single father with 4 kids.
Right, like it was heavy. It was heavy.
It was heavy. It was something I was just like venting. And she said, well, baby. That's how she said it.
That's so Southern.
Well, baby, out of all the millions of girls you could have messed with, you mess with the one that would leave. And she said, out of the 8 million people or so in New York City, you had the one gal that would not stay with you.
Wow.
So who chose her?
That's right.
So that was the accountability.
It's on you.
I get it. She did all these things. She may have done wrong, but you chose to be with that woman and have 4 kids.
Right. And so then when you embrace that accountability, you are responsible.
Yes.
For the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
you are
your
responsible.
Whole perception of things.
Well, because so many people, Shondell, live their lives, and you were doing that. And your mother, you said mother or grandmother? Your grandmother, she stopped you right up.
Oh, yeah.
You were doing what so many of us do. You were living your life through and from what has happened to you.
Right.
What is either happening or what has happened to you.
Right.
And many people listening to this right now, we say, my vote is yes, put a little bit of energy in terms of understanding what's happened or happening to you.
Right.
And then shift your focus to what are you going to do about what's happening to you. What your grandmother was saying to you is, what are you going to do, about what's right?
Right.
Right. Because Shondell, when you shift, when your grandmother helped you shift to that mode, now you're no longer stuck.
No.
Now you with that accountability becomes responsibility. With that responsibility comes effort. With that effort becomes work and diligence and unraveling it and solving the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care who you are or how you are, you're always going to be solving problems.
You start from a point of accountability.
Period.
What is my role in this whole dysfunction or this challenge or this trial or tribulation?
Right.
What is my role?
And shift your focus on, don't have a pity party about what happened to you.
Right.
About she left you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's happened.
It's done.
Now what are you going to do about it?
Yep.
Well, you stepped up.
Yeah.
Because what did you do in your role as you stepped up?
From that standpoint, I just had to sit back and say, okay, now what's next? And then when I said now what's next, a captain came and said, hey, Shondell, I want to help you. I want to give you some counseling to help you deal with all of this baggage that you have. You're only 23 years old. I need to help you.
A captain
In the United States Air Force.
Okay. Luther Vandross said it best. Lisa and I say this all the time. Everybody needs someone else to help champion their cause.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That captain helped champion your cause. And so we're going to get to values in a second, but I want to add one more piece, if you don't mind. I want to shift over.
Yeah.
We had some feedback from one of our podcaster listeners, and it's Betsy Stirk out of Denver. Betsy,
huh?
Yeah, Betsy is a retired HR specialist, human resource specialist, expert. She's really good. Yeah. And I'm going to read what she said, then we're going to dialogue a bit about it. It's really kind of juicy.
Cool.
Betsy says, as an offering, and she said this, I wonder, Jesse, if you could consider the topic of proper introduction in the work environment, professional world, family events, random situations such as pre-meetings, etc., as one of your topics in the future. So rather than it being a topic on its own, I wanted to discuss this because Betsy had a good thought on that. Because I bet where Betsy was coming from, a lot of people miss this.
Right.
They don't get the power of that. So then she says, it's not just getting to know you time, but more than that, how do you leave the right impression with these introductions?
Nice.
Then she says, for example, how would I introduce you to people to leave an impression strong enough for that person or people to see value of having met you and consider the positive influence and involvement in their future and those around them, even if they don't know you well enough as a person. Basically, the importance of first impressions is critical in the workplace in developing great teams and attracting attention, establishing rapport, etc. So basically what Betsy's asking us to do is have a little conversation about how do we help people make proper introductions of others so that there's a better impression.
So I always teach the young people that come into my office and they want to get a job or they want an internship is the best thing for you to do is to come from a space of humbleness and doing exactly what Mahatma Gandhi talked about.
You want me to go back? Hold on.
About
let's do it.
How do you serve others? Because we as employers and even people don't want to hear about you. We want to hear about what you can do for us or other people.
Fair enough. So let me for the people that just tuned in that didn't hear what you said earlier. Earlier, Shondell read this quote of something that I prepared for. I was preparing for the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, my alma mater, right on. Guy, and Lisa and I got the opportunity to do some wonderful work with them, and it's just we love it. And so this was one of the 4 pillars of meaning as part of our it was high performance leadership program that we did. So this says this. To Shondell's repeat, to its point, Mahatma Gandhi said that living a meaningful life is having purpose from serving others. You can think of purpose as the strength and opportunities you possess to help others.
Right.
And we're going to unpack that in another
and I think
session.
When you make a first impression on people, what will people say about you when they walk away?
That's a good point, because get this, what a lot of people don't realize, what Betsy's pointing out is, and then helping to make the proper introduction, is those first impressions never die.
Never die.
And you never get a second chance at a first impression.
Never do. Yep.
There's no such thing.
Right.
So in making those proper, you said to be humble, are you talking about from the person making the introduction or the person that has been introduced? Because Betsy's push was, how do we help people introduce people properly, more respectfully, so that the value's there?
Yeah, always know about that person. And how do you, the best thing is not only knowing them, but knowing them from a place where somebody can make a connection.
Yes, so that's it.
It's not just, oh, well, this is Jesse Farrell, and he's a brother that works at this and blah 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 blah, and all the things that you do.
No.
But talk about something that is intangible, something about Jesse that makes a connection with the next person.
I love that. I love that. I think that's absolutely spot on, because the whole point is to make the connection.
Right.
And that's all our responsibility. Once we make the connection, then it's on those entities to keep it going or fuel the fire. That's not on us.
Yeah.
But if we don't, to Betsy Sturck's point, if we don't make the proper connection, whether it's in the workforce when people come on board, or if it's in a friendship pool, or if it's in a society or a group or whatever, people are left wondering. And I think that it's about authenticity too.
Right.
I think it's about telling the truth. When I introduce you to people, I'm actually putting you under a little bit of pressure, because I'm telling them the best of you, right?
Right.
So you got to at least get up to that bar.
Right.
And knowing you, Sean, the way I know you, if I tell people the best of you, now you're going to try to raise the bar to be even better.
Oh, yeah.
So I think proper introductions, about bringing out and emphasizing in a crystallized fashion the best that those people have to offer.
Absolutely, yeah. And people have to understand what their best is.
And some do, some don't.
Yeah.
And so let's think about this in the workplace. If I was going to let's go back to our corporate world.
Right.
I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to pick a place. I'm going to go back to the Hilton, the Flamingo Hilton. If you were to come on board, and I was, say, the leader, and I brought you on board, I'll tell you how I would introduce you, to Betsy's point on a professional sense. I would walk you around to every key department that you are going to need and touch. They're going to need you, and you need them as a part of your role or your job.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk around to all the leaders in those departments. I would introduce you to those leaders. I would also introduce you to some of that staff.
Right.
And I would also, in that introduction, I would open up space for voice for them to hear you. Because I'm already entrenched. They already know me.
Right.
I would make that introduction. I would talk about some of the best of why you're here, why I brought you on board.
Right.
And I would say something to you, and this wouldn't be rehearsed. I would say, Shondell, from the last position you held, what makes you feel comfortable or desiring about being here with us?
Right.
Because obviously you picked us, so I know you can answer that question.
Yeah.
I would toss you a softball.
Right.
So you can hit it out of the park.
So you can just knock it out, right?
So tell me what you think about that as an introduction style in the professional sense.
I think that's the perfect way to introduce, and then allow space for a person to elaborate or bring, so the connection happens, right?
Right.
Because if you just talk about me, everybody's like, well, he can't speak for himself, right? And then, but you open the door, you do put that softball there, and then you allow me to hit it wherever I need to hit it.
Well, fair enough. That's a good point. You could hit it to first. You can get on first base. You can hit it so that you get on third base. Yeah, it depends. You may not want to hit it out of the park because that might be too much for that other person to hear. So that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Because it's not always about hitting home runs. It's about getting the ball over the net, creating the volley.
Right.
And I think that's about language. I think that's why you and I have such a wonderful connection, as the volley that we have, it's a wonderful volley. Like, let's assume that you were much better at me in tennis. Let's assume that you played on the pro circuit?
Well, let's not assume. Let's just say I am.
Okay. There's a volley right there.
Highly competitive. That's how it is. That's how I am.
Well, let's say that I only played high school tennis.
Right.
If we go and play, you're likely going to crush me.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to have a decent rally, we're going to somehow have to do some handicapping.
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be bored stiff, and I'm going to be defeated.
Yeah, we do it in golf all the time.
Right.
Yeah, we do it in golf all the time.
Golf is a great example.
Scratch golfer, and then a weekend player like me, scratch golfer is going to destroy me. So they give you some handicap.
Exactly. So when you do that, that creates a better volley.
Right.
So I think that's part of the introduction. Let's do a quick personal one, then we'll slide right over into our 3 key reasons why value matters.
Absolutely.
So that people know that why values matter, I
see
should
my
say.
cousin Barbara, she's all the way from Brooklyn. See her there, and Deborah Deborah Scott.
Yeah.
Deborah is one of my first clients with Noosa Marketing.
Deborah is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She's got some good energy going on.
Really does.
Say hello to Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
hello to the cousin as well.
That's right. Hey, Barbara.
So let's do a real quick on the personal side. Give me an example of how if you're in a personal setting and you want to make a respectful, proper introduction to someone, what would that look like?
On a personal setting, I think it's more the difference between the business and the personal is on the business side, you want to see what somebody can do for your company or your business or something like that. But on the personal side, people want to know that they can trust you on a whole different level.
Good point.
It's big trust, right?
That's good
so
point.
What are some things that you could say about me or say about that person that will put people in a good space of trust? What really makes you feel trustful?
Is it also about comfortability?
Yeah.
Because people have a lot of stress when they first meet someone for image and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I also believe it's about creating a comfortable setting, a comfortable introduction, because to lower that stress level so they can just be, again, authentically just be themselves. And so when you make that first introduction, I like to seek for trust for sure, but comfortability. I want you to know this is a safe place to be who you
Feel
are.
very safe, yeah. No, definitely. You have to pull that out.
I think that lowers their stress level.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you're going to get more of the native person and not just the posturing.
Right. No, I agree with that.
So,
wholeheartedly. I really agree with that.
So let's just thank Betsy Stirk for that. So that's a little bit of an offering there for you, Betsy, and thank you for bringing that to our attention as something that people could gain value from. We're going to step right into...
Look, Deborah says she loves our energy. Info and energy. Is that info and energy? That's me and Jess all day.
That's infogenics. That's what that is, Deborah. We got that.
Thank you, Deborah.
Well, we appreciate it. And you know what? Likewise, it takes one to know one. She's got some solid energy too.
Yes.
So let's pop into the 3 key reasons why values matter.
Yep.
Let's just have an organic. Well, you tell me, why does it matter to be in connection with your value system? You tell me.
Just natively. I got to tell you that having a value system gives you something to measure against.
Right.
It
does.
If you have no values, I think that's part of the reason why we have so many people incarcerated and a lot of people who are really, really, really depressed.
Right.
Is because they can't find what's that true value that they're searching for, or it's false idols, false gods, false things. Right. Because sometimes you're chasing things that have absolutely no value, but you believe they have value. And I give you an example.
Okay.
I was teaching a class the other day, and somebody said, people chase things that they need. I said, no, they chase things that they desire.
Okay, can I just cut in and stop you right there?
Right.
You just rewrote the first 3 years of my business, of our business.
Okay.
When I first got started in this, I couldn't wait to help people with what they needed. I was so excited. I couldn't wait.
Right.
And I did that, and I was stumbling. And I did that because I got to help them with what they need. And then I said, wait a minute. Yeah. I need to switch this. I need to help people with what they want, and not what they need.
Right.
When you help people with what they want, they'll get to what they need. Exactly. But if you focus just on their needs, a lot of times we don't do what we need to do. Exactly. We do what we want to do.
Yeah. So I made an analogy.
Good point.
And a lot of people may not like it, but here's the point. The point is, I may need to pay my light bill.
Right.
but I want or desire those new Jordans.
Right.
Right? And that happens a lot, right?
It happens all over the place. The people
Yeah.
listening to this right now,
Yeah.
if you think about the energy that you place towards what you want, and even sometimes we fail on that.
Yeah, yeah.
But we definitely fail faster on the needs. I need to lose 15 pounds.
Right.
And I really want to lose that 15 pounds, but how badly do I want it?
Right.
Do I want it bad enough to make the sacrifices and make the habit changes and
Yep.
eating changes? The exercise, that's easy. I can
Yeah.
do that in a blink.
Right.
It's the face control that I need to get figured out and stop
Yeah.
putting stuff in my face because it tastes good.
Right.
Stop desiring to taste the food and realize I'm eating to survive.
Yeah.
I'm not surviving to eat.
Right. You got to understand that.
You got to flip the switch.
So that's
but I gotta
a
want
value.
it. I gotta want it.
And that's a value, right? You go, what is the value of life for me, right? So, and here's where it goes back to that Mahatma Gandhi, right? The thing that helped me just understand how to fight diabetes, so think about this as a person, I may not even care. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of
Me neither.
somebody taking me out walking.
No, me
I'm
neither.
not afraid of that.
No.
But what I am conscious of, and this goes back to that value, is my grandkids. When I look at my little 1.5-year-old granddaughter and she goes, Papa, I want to see her graduate from college.
Right. So
that changes my value.
Well, what that does, the value there is the value of love.
Yes.
The value of connection.
Yes.
The value of family.
Changes
the
everything.
value of synergy. Those are value structures that you may not necessarily name or think about.
Right.
But that's what's driving your behavior.
Yeah.
And that is the value.
Because if I didn't care about that 1.5-year-old,
If you did not have that connected value,
I can take more risks.
Absolutely.
I can go and rob a bank. I can go and
Right.
sell drugs and take the risk that I'll be incarcerated for the rest of my life or I might be killed. I can take that risk. But because I'm looking at her and I want to see her when she graduates college and when she gets married and all those things, it changes how I eat. It changes how I exercise.
Right.
It changes how I think about diabetes.
It
now,
does.
That
It
I gotta
does.
defeat it.
It does, and I like that. So what I want to tag team on that is you start talking. You gave a couple examples. You gave the granddaughter example, and you gave the example of people that are incarcerated. I don't believe that people that are incarcerated don't have values. I don't believe that that's the case.
I wouldn't say that. I would say
you didn't say that, but I'm saying that so people don't think that neither of us are saying that.
Right.
But to your point about the people that are incarcerated, what I believe happened most of the time is in their value structure, either it got smothered or cloaked or covered, or they were doing things in the roles that they've chosen for themselves. Like you talked about being a drug dealer is a role, being an educator is a role, being a father is a role, being a grandfather is a role,
Right.
being a husband is a role.
Right.
And I believe that their value system got corrupted, and now they're out of alignment. They're out of alignment with self because they have these solid core values. I think values are inherent.
Yeah.
I think we're born with certain values, and we learn certain values from people that that are influential to us.
So as somebody who could easily, and then I'm just gonna put it as full disclaimer, who could easily be a drug dealer, right? Coming from the environment, but also understanding the game. That's what we learn intuitively growing up in Bed-Stuy.
Right.
We intuitively learn things.
Right.
Right. So in the same vein, I could be looking at that 1.5-year-old and saying, I just want to get her the best things in life. I want to make sure she wears a mink coat.
Right.
I want to make sure she has certain things. So then my value is still the same, but I'm chasing a different outcome, if you will. So I'm
you have a
chasing-
desire for a
I
different
have a
outcome,
desire for
which means you're out of
material things and things that maybe I'm not thinking about me necessarily being there in her life, but I am thinking about putting things there. So there's a difference.
Well, let me use your granddaughter for an example. So you actually, clearly, obviously value health.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Yeah.
We haven't ever even had this conversation.
Right.
And the kind of health you value is the same as mine. You value mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, and financial health.
Absolutely.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Those
That's
are huge.
all of them. And matter of fact, I write them in my book every
So
day.
that's a health value, and we've never had this conversation.
Right.
Your granddaughter, if you're telling me you value health,
Yeah.
but you're electing to be a drug dealer,
Right.
you're out of alignment.
Yeah,
And guess what that does?
Right.
Number one, your granddaughter may never get to see you. At some point, you're going to get busted. You're going to get. I don't care how
Right.
good you are. At some point, you're going because you get sloppy. You get whatever.
Or somebody gets jealous.
Or someone gets jealous, envious, and they rats out on you, or whatever. At some point, but while you're living a life where you're talking about health as a value of yours, but you're out on the street selling drugs, hurting other people with those drugs, perpetuating that, plus possible vulnerability for yourself, you're out of alignment. So you have what the psychologists and therapists call cognitive dissonance.
Right.
When you have a behavior that's outside of your value system, out of alignment.
Right.
And so that's why this value. So top reason number one that we talk about why values matter is support the opportunity for personal alignment.
Yes. Yes.
Having your value structure supports the possibility for personal alignment. It doesn't guarantee it.
Right.
Because you still have to do the work.
Yep. You still have to always put the work in.
You got to be cognizant, you got to be aware, and you got to do the work. So what are some of your value systems? Or I can speak to mine first, and you can follow, or you can go first. Your call.
So
what do you value?
It's pretty simple for me. It's God.
Okay.
I truly believe that God is the head of my life.
Okay.
And gives me all direction. Does not mean I'm perfect. Does not mean that I'm walking this earth and I don't make mistakes, because God made us imperfect, right? And then family, no doubt about it, family. I believe that my family has a lot of history that we can learn from and grow from, and then impact others.
Okay.
And then the huge value for me is relationships.
Oh, that's big.
Right. And I'm saying relationships, REAL relationships, relationships, because most people are phony and fake.
Right, for a lot of reasons.
For a lot of reasons, right?
And none of them legit.
Whether they're guarding themselves, whatever the case may be. But for me, it's about keeping it very, very real.
Very authentic.
Yeah,
I agree.
very authentic. You know what, Jess? If you tell me today, hey, Shondell, I don't like you because you got a booger on your forehead, tell me that.
Right.
Don't beat around the bush. Don't come at me with,
don't look at me funny.
Don't look at me funny. Say it, right? The other day I was walking around and I when I got out the shower and got to work, my elbows were ashy. Frankie said, "Hey, your elbows are ashy. I want you to do that to me. I don't want you."
So you can correct it,
right? Don't have me walking around all day and you're like, "I was gonna tell you, bud."
Right, and
all
the people that you run across that had the same thought, and because you're somewhat less together. You're not fully together.
So I like relationships, and I like people to tell me straight up, "Hey, you pissed me off. You made me happy. You made me sad.
You frustrated me." Sure.
Yeah, let me know. I'm a New Yorker, man.
Not only that, you're not perfect.
Right. I'm not perfect.
And you got a lot going on, so you could easily be slipping and not realizing
Tell me. Don't beat around the bush. So God, family, relationships.
That's good. I like that. Well, I had a value system before I stumbled upon this book, but this really crystallized it and made me take it to another level. And I created this thing called Governing Values.
Okay.
I got it from a book called What Matters Most by Hiram Smith. And he talks about everyone having values. And he said, but your governing values are the things, he put it this way, his analogy was what you would walk across the tightrope for. He says, if you put up a tightrope on a building, say like you put a tightrope up on the Wynn, and you put one going all the way across over to, say, the Palazzo Suites.
Right.
And you put it 1,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
What would you walk across that for? Those are your values. And he put the instance like if I were to give you $1 million to walk across, I probably wouldn't take it because I'm probably not going to get to spend the $1 million because I'm not going to make it because I haven't practiced.
Right.
But he said, let's say like your grandchild.
Right.
If your grandchild was on one side at the Palazzo and she started to crawl across that wire and you were over at the Wynn, would you walk across that?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, you would scuttle. You would get across.
I'm getting across it.
Right.
And I'm not falling.
And that's exactly, and you're not going to fall because you're going to get that baby.
Exactly.
You're going to save that baby.
Yes, sir.
So the governing values represent that. So for me, and then I listed the governing values. I listed all of them actually, and I'm sitting here with 27 values.
Wow.
But then I'll narrow it down to the top values, and then I put them in categories. And so in the categories that I listed for my governing values, the first one is health. That's the health category.
Yeah.
And the health is in this particular rollout was mental, physical, and spiritual health.
Okay.
And then I went with my authentic category.
Okay.
And that had things like faithfulness, honesty, curiosity, creativity, personal integrity, reliability, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And then for benevolence. Right. That's another group. That's like the care part of it. So that had things like compassion, empathy, care, big-heartedness, giving, kindness, love. Now some of these are crossing over with one another.
Sure.
So what you do is you on this process you put down how important that value is to you on a 5-star rating system. Then you put down on the other side, how well are you performing that value consistently on a 5-star rating system? Right. And the reason why you do this because it helps you determine where you need to focus and raise your game in areas where you don't realize because now you're focused on that you need to pick up your game.
Yeah.
But my favorite values, oh my God, my top 5 are creativity, curiosity, intuition, time, and the power of words.
Wow.
Those are my favorite 5. I focus on. I seek to live them all, but if they were all to go away and I kept 5, those would be the 5 I would keep. Okay. So time, curiosity, creativity, intuition, and the power of words.
Wow.
Tell me what you think about any of those.
You know, I think, let me tell you something. I read a book, and it's by, let's see, it's Disciplines of a Godly Man by Graham. Is it Kent Graham? I believe it's Kent Graham. Okay. I got to look it again. But Disciplines of a Godly Man. All of those things are there. And here's
when you say all of those things, you mean what I just said?
What you just said.
No.
All of those values.
Wow.
Yeah, because here's what it is, Jess, is that, and this is why I said God, because once I understood, and I'm going to a camp next week with our youth from our church. I go every year.
Okay.
We usually go to Big Bear, but I think we're going some other camp this year. And when I go and I talk to, I'm usually assigned to the high school juniors and seniors.
Okay.
And what I'm telling them is because values stay with you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Even if you're not subscribing to them.
Right. Because
that's your grounding place. Yes.
Right? So what you were just talking about, read them off again, and I'll tell you how.
My top 5?
Yeah.
So my top 5 would be time. Intuition.
Yep.
Curiosity. Creativity. And the power of words.
Good stuff. Hey, Lisa said hi. Hey, Lisa.
Hey there, Lisa.
We miss you.
Lisa's at an event right now.
Yeah, she's having fun. You know, the thing is about, like, this Disciplines of a Godly Man describes all of those things and how they interlock and how they work together.
Absolutely.
Right? The reason why that book was important is it's called it talks about how to have your discipline of and how to have discipline, first of all. Because
the first off is to even focus on those values.
Focus on values, right. You got to have the discipline to focus on health, right?
That's why I wrote them on a list.
Right. And you got to change habits. See, and the difference between habits and, you know, wishing to do things is habits is, you know, you wake up in the morning and you do them without even thinking.
Right.
You're not even thinking about it.
It's ingrained within your whole system of operating.
And so I tell my kids all the time. I used to tell my kids in our family meetings, the habits you form are the habits you keep. Right? So you form habits of laziness.
How do you break a bad habit?
How do you break a bad? It is so hard to break a bad habit. It is so hard.
You know what Brian Tracy says?
Yeah.
Good habits are hard to form and easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to form and hard to live with.
Right. Yes.
So how do you break a bad habit?
You know, breaking a bad habit it's almost like stopping a locomotive and reversing it.
It really is. You got to have a big want to.
Big want to.
And quite frankly, be good to get some help.
Yes.
It's almost impossible by yourself. You almost want to gain that accountability partner that holds you on track.
And so for let's talk about diabetes. A lot of people have diabetes, right? But a lot of people don't know that diabetes is controllable.
Okay.
By, you know, diet, weight control, exercising, mental, right?
Okay.
You can't take on everybody else's baggage when you're trying to stay healthy.
No.
You can't do it.
You'll run out of energy.
You run out of energy. So you don't have the energy to fight, right?
Yes.
You have to have a discipline, and your accountability partner is your diabetic, your dietitian, your doctor.
Right.
And you have to have a diabetic doctor.
Okay.
You know, you can't
someone
have
specializes.
You can't have the old Hawthorne doctor that also takes care of the chickens.
Don't you talk about my Hawthorne doctor.
Man, you know, you eat the veterinarian and the horse doctor and everybody else. You gotta have a specialist.
My Hawthorne people are pointing fingers at you right now.
I bet you.
My brother's in Hawthorne. Al's going, wait, Al. You know what my brother Al just said? Don't make me get up.
You know, so my VA doctor takes good care of me, and I have a diabetic specialist, and they talk to you about things specific to handle that. Specialists, right? And then the best advice given to me was, hey, do things that you enjoy doing and you want doing. So I love walking.
Now those will be but that's a combination between roles and values. When you say do things, when you start, I thought you were going to talk about when you say do things that are important to you that you enjoy. You know, embrace the roles that you decide that you want to, and do your very best to do your very best.
Yes.
And you're gonna have good days, bad days, and some great days. But on your bad days, I always like to say this. It's almost like golf. Golf is not about how good your good shots are. It's about how good your bad shots are.
Right.
Think about that.
I agree. Yeah.
Because if you hit a really bad shot and you're off the course, well, those are much more tough penalties.
Yeah.
If you don't hit the fairway but you're on the fringe, or you're in the rough, that's far more manageable.
Yeah.
So life is not about how good your good shots are. Life is about how good your bad shots are.
Right.
How bad is it when you're messing up?
Yeah.
Well, your values can bring you back to this. So having a strong foundation of a value system.
It's a great analogy.
And write it down. And memorize it. And get it in your brain and live it.
Yeah.
And in fact, our second principle says values reflect how you show up or not. Yeah. So the other key reason.
Jack got a comment there. He said most people are phony and fake. Wow? ? You know, and I'll.
So Jack, he's wondering why you said that.
Jackie Martin. Jackie, you know, I'm gonna tell you why I said that.
First off, before you talk to Jackie,
yeah,
she's listening close, and girlfriend is really highly intelligent.
No,
I'm not scaring you.
No.
She's evolved. She's intelligent.
I love it.
She has great statements and great questions. So Jackie Martin, read Jackie Martin's question again and answer.
It says most people are phony and fake ? Wow. So you know, most people unintentionally are phony and fake because they're trying to fit in. And they're trying to adjust to something.
Give it to me.
Right? That it's human nature.
Might I put some icing on the cake? I know you're answering Jackie.
Go for it.
Let me pull you out of the weeds with some people that want to slap you down for that statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You're spot on. I'm going to say it differently, but I'm saying the same thing you did.
Yeah.
Most people are full of what Lisa and I have come to know as fimage. All capital letters, FIMAGE.
Okay.
Fimage.
Okay.
Fear of image.
Fear of image. Exactly.
It's fimage.
Yes.
So when you say most people are phony or fake, I say many people walk around with fimage.
Right.
But it really is the same thing. It's just a nicer way of saying it.
Yeah.
Fimage is fear of image.
Yeah.
I'm going to behave in a certain way to protect the image that I don't want to be lost or missed or mistaken by someone else.
Yeah.
So I roll with this thing called fimage, and most people don't even know that they're doing it.
They're making an adjustment based on the environment. Where I get criticized a lot of times is because I don't change. I am Shondell 100%.
But why would you get criticized for being consistent in your behavior?
Because most people think you have to change. Like I played golf at Shadow Creek a couple weeks ago, right? For Memorial Day.
Okay.
So Shadow Creek is a very exclusive golf course.
I know what Shadow Creek is.
Right?
That's really a special course. It's the best one on the coast to me.
Right. So whether I'm at Shadow Creek or Las Vegas Municipal Golf Course, which is a city course, Shondell doesn't change. I can go from the pool hall to the boardroom and won't change, right? I won't change who I am. I am going to come to you more authentic than you'll ever see most people. Other people want to be chameleons in those spots. I start to talk like this, Jesse, because now I'm at Shadow Creek. Right?
Yeah, right.
You've seen that happen.
Right.
I've watched, and I'm a people watcher. So I watch how people act around certain people, right? People will change up their whole image to fit an environment.
Okay.
Right.
So do you believe we answered Jackie's question?
I hope I answered the question.
Jackie, if he has not answered it and fully, let us know and get back to us, and we'll get after it again because I want to be honorable to that because that's a very, very good question.
Yeah.
And you say that you don't change. Let me ask you something. I'm not going to challenge you, but yes, I am going to challenge you. Here it comes.
Challenge it.
You don't change, but do you have a sense of adaptability based on circumstances?
Sure. You know why you have to adapt? Because certain circumstances challenge you to adapt to that environment.
Exactly. So so when you say you don't change, what I'm thinking, let me rephrase it again, and it's you. You get to check me out.
Sure.
I think what you're intending to say to our viewers and our listeners is that the core of who Shondell is does never change.
Never changes.
The mechanics of the core nature of who you are. However, when you're in different environments, whether you're at Shadow Creek, on the golf course, super fine, it's really in the top 100 in the world. I think it's in the top 3 personally, but it's in the top 100 by other people's standards, not just mine. Or whether you're in the boardroom or you're in the pool hall.
Yeah.
The core of who you are is there. Now, I do this thing that I call a dimmer switch. And you tell me if this relates to what you're saying or it's not. I have this automatic dimmer switch that I've honed in that when I'm in different environments, different spaces, different company, whether it's a few people in the room or 10,000 people in the room, I like to check myself. And I know that the energy of which I resonate, not everybody wants to or can stand under my light.
Understood.
That's not ego.
Yeah.
That's care.
Yeah.
That's in one of my values.
Right.
So what I do is I take a temperature check wherever I go. It's instant. And I will either leave my light on, if I believe that room can handle the energy that I'm going to bring, I leave it up.
Right.
If I believe it's going to be a deficit or taken the wrong way, I just turn down. I turn it down like a dimmer switch. And I adjust how I'm showing up. The core of me doesn't change.
Right.
There's some circumstances I'll get into, I might only have 2 or 3 words to say.
Yeah.
And then other circumstances, I have hundreds of words to say. You know why? Because if you don't want to hear what I have to say, then I'm not going to say it.
I would say I don't have a dimmer switch.
I do. You know why I have a dimmer?
And that's where New Yorkers come off as being rude.
Exactly. Tell me why. Tell me what you think about my dimmer switch concept.
You know, I think it works for different people, right? Like my wife has maybe that dimmer switch, or she has a way she is around her siblings because she's comfortable.
Okay.
And then she has a way she's around the office because she has to be.
Okay.
And then, I think everybody has. But what I'm telling you about Shondell is those are all the same.
And so you don't have the dimmer switch because why do you feel? Is it just your native character?
My native character just comes out. It's just, and it could be, and it all depends. And so walking into a room that is low energy, I don't feel like I have to, but I bring the energy.
I like what you're saying.
There's a Newsom thing, like we say, if we come to a party and the party is not happening, it's gonna be a party.
Well, no, I like that, but here's what if they can't handle that at the moment?
Honestly, we don't even take that into account.
See,
unfortunately, we don't.
I do,
and it's because we have been trained. I guess conditioning for us.
It's not right or wrong, by the way.
No, that's the fact.
It's not right or wrong. It's just this. So for you,
different.
You do not make the shift, and the reason why I make the shift is not in an effort to fit in,
right?
But in an effort to not stand out when people cannot handle it.
Yeah.
And quite likely, I don't like to be the center of attention. I can bring energy up in the room as well.
You're very conscious of that.
I'm extremely conscious of that.
I tell you where we, right or wrong, we actually, those of us who are truly bred in New York City, we don't take that into account many times. We walk into a room, and if you ain't feeling it, you just ain't feeling it, right? And we're kind of like, hey, what's wrong with you? That's just, that is our personality. That is who we are.
I think you just said a good point, though. I think it's a nature. I don't think it's just because you're from New York. I do think that certainly is a factor. But I also think it has to do with native character.
Yes.
Because I think if you go all the way back to you as a little boy, I'll bet you were quite a bit the same.
Absolutely.
If you go back to when I was a little boy, I was quite a bit the same as what I'm expressing to you now. In fact, I called my favorite aunt one day, Helen. Yeah. Well, Helen and Viola. I called them both.
Yep.
Separately. They didn't know. And I asked him one question. What was I like as a little boy?
Right.
Because I was working on something I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And Helen said, you were always to yourself.
See?
You always had something to say, but
Okay.
you wouldn't say it unless we asked. If
Unless you asked.
if you asked, she said you would tell us the truth. You didn't care for
That
your.
ain't Shondell.
She said you didn't care for your parents boxing and fighting each other all the time, and you didn't say anything. But when we
Right.
asked you, you would tell us, and you were always spot on. You
Right.
didn't have a lot of people around you.
Yeah.
She said you only had a couple friends. You could have had as many as you wanted, but you really
Right.
didn't care to have a lot of people around you. You
Right.
preferred your time to yourself. I thought I made that up as an adult. I didn't know I was like that as a kid.
As a kid.
So that's why. So when you hear me say that, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So as a kid, I was a kid at my mom said 4 or 5 years old that would walk to the corner store, have a conversation with folks. I would talk to them. I would ask questions. She said that I'd be sitting on the bus and I'd have I'd just talk. Lady, why are you wearing that? What are you doing? No filter.
Right.
And-
See, so you you got the New York flair thing too. I think that's just an added arsenal, an added
added, yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
But I think it's a modulation between your core character
Sure.
and what your environment has brought you as
Sure,
well.
yeah,
You
yeah.
agree?
Yep, absolutely. I
Just-
see Laura.
Let's step in.
Annette.
Let's see who's
Who
in
else is
there.
Matthew Murphy. That's so true. They try to fit in with groups they're with. And then Danette says she's listening. So Danette, bro.
Oh, she's big.
She's awesome.
She's big. That's
Houston
good.
McGowan. I know Houston and I did some business together in the past. So knowing that people are, it's really something because that is your native. What'd you call it? Your native.
Which part?
Your native self. Your native. Who you are as a person. As you grew up, you already knew who you were, because when you were a child,
Right.
you did these things. So remember that.
That's my core character.
Core character. That's
Yeah.
what you call it. Okay?
Yep.
So when you go into your core character and you're saying this is who you are, your environment has a lot to do with it. Who you're dealing with. Like I said, I dealt with my grandmother.
Right.
So some people believe I grew up in the South, but it's because of
She
her
grew up in the
influence.
South. Yeah.
She grew up in the South, and
Yeah.
because I spent those crucial hours with her,
Same here.
it just comes out.
Same here.
That just comes out.
My
right?
grandmother grew up in Louisiana, and I spent a lot. She lived in Reno when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But she grew up in Louisiana, and I was raised the same way she grew up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking about our value systems,
Mm-hmm.
let's repeat the first one. The first one in terms of a key reason why the values matter. Number one, support the opportunity for personal alignment.
Right.
Get your roles.
Yep.
Whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a firefighter, sanitation engineer, a speaker, a coach, whatever, a husband, a wife, a son, a brother, get those roles and measure what those roles represent to you.
Right.
Pull in your values and ask yourself, are my roles supporting my values and likewise, and am I being consistent? And so that's why. And the second thing is they reflect how you show up or not. Your values can do that. Well, the third key reason is they help you determine what you want.
Right.
Your values help you determine what you want. As an evidence, I'm gonna pop in. I'm gonna flip it to you.
Yep.
What do I want? I want to live a life where I like to, and this is gonna sound trite because so many people are using the words. I'm working on creating some new words.
Sure.
But inspire others to live their highest vision.
Ooh.
I'm doing that for life, for living, and I do that because that's what I want to do.
Yes.
I want to inspire you to live your highest vision.
Highest vision. Love it. Go.
Personally, professionally, organically, all the way around.
Love it.
That's my strongest desire.
Love
I
it.
want to create a communication style
Yes.
that's so powerful
Yeah.
that it transcends the obvious.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
transcends that I'm a person of color.
Right.
It transcends that I come from a small town.
Sure.
You get beyond that so we can get to a bigger space.
Highest vision. Yes.
Exactly.
Love it.
And so now I say that, and now listen to the values. I'm not going to read all 27, just the top 5. Creativity, curiosity, intuition, time, the power of words. Do those values not support that huge push that I have, that desire to? I would see that as a powerful mission. My mission and my purpose on this earth is to be that communicator, that conduit of the message. It's not about me.
So you want me to sum it up?
Do it.
Be the best you can be.
Exactly.
Stop trying to be like everybody else.
Right.
Stop trying to live everybody else's values. Stop trying to convince everybody.
And determine what you want.
Yes, be the
so that
best
you
you
can
want.
be the best you can be to get
look,
what you want.
My vision is to be the best father, the best husband, the best person that God has made me to be.
And that's what you want.
And that's what I want. So don't sit on the sideline and try to tell me I need to be somebody else, because that's not where I'm trying to go.
Right.
Right? If you have not been sitting in the room with me and God, then leave it alone.
Right.
Let it go. Stay off of my platform. Right? I'm living my best life, right?
Right.
So
living your best life now.
But Snoop Dogg has that song, and he used some words that I can't use.
Right.
But,
you can, but not on the air.
I can, but not on the air, right? But he's saying I'm living my best life. So smile.
Right.
Just smile for me. You don't have to come and criticize me or talk about me or get in my world or get in my space. What is Shondell doing?
Right.
Just think about it from a standpoint that, hey, this guy must be living his best life.
Right.
Let's celebrate.
That's right.
Let's help him to celebrate.
Right.
I think people get too far in the weeds of what they expect you to be.
I do. Again,
Shondell,
going back to Femage.
Why were you not there? Why were you not doing this? And why are you not upset about this? How do you know I'm not upset?
Right. Just because I'm not demonstrating it.
Because I'm not demonstrating by the same token you are? Or why do you not care about this? How do you know I don't care? And then how do you know my methodology is not the same as yours, but in a different way? Right. I care about kids. Right. But maybe I'm trying to get kids jobs.
Right. And so you're doing that through your effort of your the value system that you have, and your tools, your best systems, tools, and processes, your best endeavors, your best accomplishments, and duplicating that in an area that needs it.
Because I feel in my space where I live, right, in my space, in my head, the more businesses that I can help and creates more job opportunities for people in the community. Right. That's the way my brain flows. Right. Where another person might say, well, the more I inspire people, and maybe we're both doing the inspiration.
There's no doubt with that. We are. You offered me to be a guest speaker in your class. Yeah. And you are doing that, period. And an example of that is I saw the connection that your class, that all those students in that entrepreneurial class had to you and for you. Yeah. There was a lot of respect, there was a lot of appreciation, and they're there sucking in all of your life experience and history that you're laying on them to help pave the way, to save them some of the steps that maybe tripped you up along the way. Sure. So yeah, you're definitely doing the same thing. You're doing it in some overlapping fashion, but some different fashions. Yeah. As you should.
Different group of people though.
Yes, very much so.
I spent 10 years on the board for the 100 Black Men, and I was helping youth, just inspiring, just going to the classrooms, talking to them, showing them how to play chess, doing all kinds of things. But you know what, Jess? One day I was standing in the classroom, and one of the kids were talking about how when they left from school, what happened when they went home. And I said, what's interesting is we're going to inspire them. We're going to talk to them for these hours or days or whatever it is, and they still have to go home.
Right. So it's a dichotomy between what you're teaching and what they live into. So are they asking you, how do I bridge that gap? Or
what happened for me is God gave me a revelation. If their living condition does not change, you can talk in the classroom. We can walk in with our shiny suits and we can pump them up. Go, Johnny, go, 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 go. And then they get back to reality and nothing changes. Then what have we really done? So I said, now I'm elevating to a space where I want to change the economic condition. We got a lot of brothers over here mentoring. We got a lot of brothers over here pumping up Johnny. But I want me to focus on bringing that economic support. So mom, when Johnny goes home, mom can elevate to a different job, a different opportunity, maybe entrepreneurship. I don't know, but helping bridge that gap, that issue.
No, that's huge, and that's a huge undertaking, and that takes a lot of energy and resources that you're not even talking about. This is not free. It costs you something, even if it's time, and time is obviously one of my values. I'm sure time is one of your values as well. Sure. So I believe that's huge for people to hear that. So when we talk about the 3 key reasons why values matter, again, to just express them all back to back. Number 1, support the opportunity for personal alignment. What was that?
Are we doing on time? I don't know.
We're almost there. We're gonna wind it down here by saying the top 3 reasons: support the opportunity for personal alignment. We talked about why that is true. Number 2, They reflect how you show up or not.
Right.
Your values do. And the values help you to determine what you want.
Right.
If you're cognizant and paying attention to those values, it can guide you to your wants. Because those are inherent within you.
Yeah.
And so that's good. This has been a great program. I knew the time was going to fall off the clock. I want you to tell people, if you will, how can people find Shondell and Some New Marketing?
You can find Shondell on Facebook, Shondell Newsome, or you can find me at somenewmarketing.com or at www.somenewmarketing.com, which will connect you with all of our platforms.
Perfect. And Just Talk and Lisa Listen, you can find us at justtalk.com. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Yeah, we're out there at a few places. And our website, justtalk.com.
They are the bomb. They are the bomb. They are. Yeah.
So with this being a super show, we always like to end our show with something that both Shondell and I resonate with. And I'll start it, he'll finish. Go out there and do some great things in the world. Jump on the Facebook, if you will, Brothers in Conversation, and share your thoughts and comments. If you have any suggestions or recommendations you want Shondell and I to bring to the forum, just like we did for Betsy Stirk, who brought some good ideas, go ahead and let us know. But in the meanwhile, go out there and make it happen for you based on the values that you know you have. Get in touch with those. And the way we always close our program is we know that there's one thing that we always say, and it's all about
how you leave them feeling.
Have a great day.
Yeah.